Hey gamers, this is Liz Davidson from Beyond Solitaire, and today I want to show you how to play Bandersnatch. And Bandersnatch is one of the games that is part of Jabberwocky. That's a new release that is coming to Kickstarter from Jellybean Games, and it's the sequel to The Lady and the Tiger. So this is going to be a set of small games that can all be played with the same components, which are these numbered cards, some different colored gemstones, and these really lovely Jabberwocky cards. So the art on these is really cute, and I'm definitely a fan so far. Bandersnatch is going to be a little puzzle game. It's a solo game where our goal is going to be to try to score 10 points or higher, hopefully a lot higher, but you never know. And the way that we're going to do that is on this field of play. So what's going to happen is I'm going to manipulate the cards that are in this field, and as I do that, we're going to be adding gems to the field, removing gems from the field, capturing cards and removing them from the field of play, so we'll have like a shrinking board, and gems that end up over here are going to get scored. So every gem that I can broil, which means surround with other cards with gems on them, as I'm going to show you, will come here and it'll earn 2 points. Every yellow will earn 1, but every purple is a -1. So I have to be careful about which combinations of gems I end up cornering and manipulating around, because I can actually take negative points. On the other end of that, gems that are left out on the field of play at the end of the game, so that would be anything that's still on a card that didn't actually get taken from the board by the end of the game, that will be worth potentially negative points. So a green that's still out here is worth -2. A yellow that's still out here is worth -1, but a purple that's still out here could be +1. So I'm going to show you how this game is played. We're going to be manipulating this set of cards by drawing 2 cards at a time from this deck. So we'll play 1, draw 1, and there's always 2 in your hand. And we're going to be using these cards to replace other cards in this field. And as we do that, we are going to take actions, add and remove gems, depending on the relationship between the card that we're replacing and the card that we're putting in that spot. So the number on the card is going to matter, and the color of the card, green, yellow, or purple, is also going to matter. So let's see what we're going to do with these 2 1s. All right, well, what I think I'm going to do for now is I'm going to go ahead and grab this purple 2, and I'm going to take it out of the game. I'm going to replace it with a purple 1. I like to get some purple gems out of the game and out of the way. So what that has done is, if there were gems on the board, I would remove an adjacent gem, and adjacency is orthogonal, so here, here, or here, not diagonal, so these get ignored. So if there were already gems on the board, I would remove 1, but I don't have any gems on the board, so I'll remove a purple 1 from the game, just entirely. Now I'm going to drop back up to 2 and decide what to do next. All right, so now I've got a green 4. So I have a couple of possibilities. One thing that I'd really like to do is use this 4 to replace, I'd like to be able to replace the 1, but it's in the middle of the board, and you can only score off of cards that you've like trapped by other cards that have gems on them. So I don't necessarily want to take the middle card out of the game right now. So I'm going to go ahead and take the 2 out and replace it with a 4. So because I have replaced a card that's the same color, I've replaced a green card with a green card, and it's a higher number, I'm going to put down gems that represent the difference between those 2 numbers. So 2 green gems go onto the board. This card is now what is known as busy. The ones that have no gemstones are empty. A busy card cannot be replaced, so this is just stuck this way for the time being. So let's draw another card and see what we get. Ooh, purple 5. Okay, what would I like to do with that? I don't want too many purples hanging out on the board, but I'll have smaller numbers coming out as well. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take out this 4 and replace it with a 5. So the difference between 4 and 5 is 1, so it's 1 purple gem will be here. And then what I'm actually going to do is, before I play this 5, I think I'm so clever, haha, I'll probably get shown otherwise. I'm going to take this off and put the 1 on. So when you take cards of the same color and you put a lesser number, you remove 1 adjacent gem from the game. So since I replaced a 2 with a 1, and they were the same color, one gem of any color gets removed from an adjacent card. So this actually is out of the game now. So it's another purple that's been removed. And then we'll draw this. Ooh, so we have a green 5 and we have a yellow 5. So I'm actually going to go ahead and take this out of the game, put this 5 down, and we're gonna put a whopping 4 yellow gemstones on it. So now I need to work on surrounding these cards with other cards that have gemstones on them so that I can, quote, capture those cards and and then score for the gems. This 5 is big, so it's gonna be a bit of a tall order. We'll see what I can do. So I have 1 card in my hand. I am going to shuffle my discard pile. Do one more shuffle. And we'll draw up. All right, so now I'm dealing with a 5 and a 1. Interesting. Okay. So I think I'm in a slightly tough situation. I don't want to play this 1 right now because I don't want to remove anything yellow from the game right now. So I'm going to go ahead and play the 5. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go for it. I'm going to put this 5 right in the middle. We're going to put 4 green gemstones on. So now that we've put some gemstones on this middle card, we're going to have our first capture situation. Because as you can see, we finally have a card that's surrounded on all 3 adjacent sides by cards that are busy or that have gemstones on them. And what that means is that this captured card is actually going to be removed from the game. If it had gems on it, it would actually go back into the discard pile to be drawn again, but this one has no gems on it, so it just leaves the game completely. It's also not replaced, so the playing field will now look like this for the remainder of the game, or well, I mean, until I take another card off of the field of play. So we're gonna be dealing with a shrinking playing field as we go. All right, so let's draw up and keep going. All right, so I have a 1 and a 2. All right, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take this 4 out and replace it with a 1. Because when you replace a card with a card that has a smaller number but is the same color, you only have to remove 1 gemstone from the game. Where will I remove it from? If there were adjacent gemstones, I'd remove from there, but there aren't. So I'm gonna just remove a yellow gemstone from the entire game. So this will go. If I'd replace this with a smaller value card that was a different color, I would actually have to place gems to make up the difference between them. So if I'd put the 1 here instead, I would be taking 4 gems out of the game because that's the difference between 1 and 5. So you have to be thoughtful about where you replace cards. All right, so now we'll draw up and keep going. Okay, so now I've drawn a purple 2. Let's think about what I want to do. One of my main goals is going to be to get a gemstone on one of these cards so that I can capture the cards below. So now that there's only 1 adjacent card for these, then capturing them is going to be a different experience because I don't have to surround it on multiple sides. This is the only adjacency left. So I need to put some gems here so I can get these gems broiled and scored. So I think the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to take this 1 out. I'm going to replace it with a 2. And what that's going to do is it's going to add 1 yellow gem to the board. And what that means is that this card will be captured because it's surrounded on all adjacent sides by cards that are busy. So what that means is that these 2 gems are going to get scored over here. They're going to be worth 2 points each at the end of the game. And because this was captured while it had gems on it, it's going to go back into the discard and not out of the game. So now my next long-term goal is getting these babies off of the board. So let's drop and see what I get. All right, so now I'm dealing with a purple 2 and a green 2. This purple 5 is kind of a pain. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this out of the game and put this one in. So I'm going to have to remove a gem from an adjacent card, but it's better than having to do the difference between 2 and 5 and remove 3 gems from adjacent cards because these are good for scoring. These are worth more in the end, so I'm gonna take 1 yellow off this card and out of the game. And now we'll be reshuffling our discard pile and continuing to play. All right, so we're gonna draw this. All right, we're gonna get a green 1. That is not the most exciting thing I could have drawn, but let's see what I can do with it. All right, I'm gonna have to remove gems from the board pretty much no matter what I do. Or I can accidentally do something like replace this and add purple gems, which I also don't wanna do. Okay, so we're gonna take this 3 out And we're gonna put the 1 in, which forces me to remove 1 green gemstone from the board, but I think that's the best thing I can do right now. And then let's draw our next card. Okay, let's see what we get. Okay, so now we're talking actually. So what I'm gonna do is I'd really like to get these guys scored and off the board. So I'm going to take this purple 2 out and put in this yellow 4, which is going to add 1 yellow gem to this card. And then this is awesome because say now this one's neighbor is busy. All of the cards adjacent to this card are busy with gems on them. So this card will be captured and these gems will be broiled and then scored at the end of the game. This card will go back in my discard pile. It is not going to go out of the game because it was busy at the time that it was captured. Okay, so let's draw up and see what we're gonna do. All right, so we have a green 2 and a purple 1. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to get these babies off the board. And to do that, I will take this out of the game, replace it with a green 2, which will put a green gem on there. So now what's gonna happen is these 3 will get broiled. This card will get captured. And as you can see, we are kind of starting to reach end game here. There's not very many plays left before there are too many cards that no longer have cards that are adjacent to each other. So actually we're gonna hold up right here because this is the moment where the game ended and I totally screwed up. So see that yellow 3 and that yellow 1 in the top corners? Those cards should in fact be captured because they are surrounded on all their adjacent sides by cards that are busy. In other words, populated by gems. So the fact that I didn't catch that means that this is actually where the game ends and I had kept playing, but we're going to stop right here and explain what went down. With those captured cards removed, there are no longer any cards adjacent to those ones with gems on them, which means that there are no further plays that can be made, which means that the game is over and those gems are left on the field. That'll affect scoring too. See those 5 green gems that are on the Jabberwocky card? Those are worth 2 points each for a total of 10. The yellow gems in the Jabberwock card are worth 1 point each, which brings my total up to 13. But sadly, I left 2 yellow gems and 1 green on the field for minus points. That green one that's still on the green 2 is worth -2, and the yellows that remain are each worth -1, bringing me to a sad score of 9. Sadly, this means I've lost the game, but take it as a warning. Pay attention to those captured cards. And that was Bandersnatch from Jabberwocky from Jellybean Games. Happy gaming!